Good evening. I'm going to say it, YouTube and BookTube. Now, once again, I don't think any BookTubers watch me. Well, maybe a couple. But I looked at my videos, and I made a video about 10 hours ago, and I feel really kind of bad about making a video so quick. But hey, I'm alone here in Holland, Michigan. It is a Wednesday night. It is May the 29th. It is 8:28 at night, and as you all guys know, I don't watch TV. I usually read at night, or I listen to music, or I sit and just watch the wheels spin inside my head. So I poured myself a glass of wine, and I got a book in the mail. Now this book I came across, I was at our son's house, Caleb John, down the street in Emily's, and they get the Atlantic and they get the New Yorker. And when I look at the New Yorker, they always highlight certain books or novels or nonfiction biographies. They have this section. And I came across this book, and I ordered it, and I got it in the mail. This is People in a Magazine, the selected letters of S.N. Behrman and his editors at the New Yorker. This is edited by Joseph Goodrich, and I got this in the mail. As you guys all know, now our son gives us his old New Yorkers, and I got to be honest, I don't really read them. I look at the book reviews, I might look at some of the articles, but I have a hard time reading magazines. I do get the New York Book Review online, and I do get it. Sometimes we go to our local retail, well, it's independent bookstore, Reader's World downtown. It's not a branch. It's owned by these people who've owned it as long as probably 50, 60 years. And I can't even read newspapers. Now, when I get the New York Times, I look at the New York Book Review, I look at the Arts and Leisure, I might look at the Travel, I might look at the New York Magazine, but I read books. Now, once in a while, like I said, I will read articles of the New Yorker or the Atlantic, but usually I take them to the Book Nook, the library used bookstore, and they sell them for money. So I got this in the mail today. And I have a biography that was written by S.N. Behrman, and he wrote a biography on the cartoonist and eccentric Max Behrman. And those letters some of these he's addressed in here. Henry Maxim Behrman. He wrote Conversations with Max, which I have downstairs, which I've reread that, and I have the letters of Max Behrman, and I have the life, a biography on Max Behrman, and he wrote a novel I have downstairs by Max Behrman. I also went to thrift stores this afternoon, just one thrift store. Well, I have a whole stack of thrift store books that I'll show. But I went to our local Burger King for lunch. And right across the street from Burger King is a thrift store, and I bought some books. And one of the books I bought for I got it for 90 cents was the I've Seen the Best of It, Memoirs by Joseph W. Alsop. His brother Stuart and Joseph Alsop were very journalists in Washington, D.C., and they had columns, and they were back in the, I think, the 40s and 50s, in the 60s, they had a column, and they were very, very famous in their day. Joseph W. Alsop, his cousin, was Theodore Roosevelt, and he was related to F.D. Roosevelt. And so he had access to the White House during the presidency of FDR. And anyway, I've read books about Joseph and Stuart Alsop, and I found his memoirs, and I was kind of pleased with it because I really enjoyed reading about them and about the history they covered. They covered like the McCarthy trials in the 50s, and they covered the Cold War, and he was also, Joseph W. Alsop was friends with Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, when he was just a senator. And one thing about this memoir, when I read the introduction to it, now, when this was written, it says here, Joseph W. Alsop with Adam Pratt. What happened is that towards the end of his life, he was sick with cancer. But he wanted to have a record or a memoir of what he had seen and written about and experienced. So he was going to write a memoir, but when he got really sick, he had like a reader's block, and he had this person he knew, Adam Pratt. He would dictate to him. It was like a long interview, a very exhaustive, in-depth interview. And then after the interview was what he had written down about his life, it was fact-checked with historians and friends and family and etc. But the memoir ends at the assassination of John F. Kennedy. He died, I think, in 1982, something like that. He died in 1989. So it ends at the assassination. This memoir ends at the assassination of John F. Kennedy. It was very devastating to Joseph W. Alsop when Kennedy was killed. He thought that a period in American history had come to a close with the death of Kennedy. But it's very well written. I've been reading it about his childhood, and I'm really enjoying it. So I was reading that all afternoon. I've seen the best of it, Memoirs by Joseph W. Alsop. So what this video is really about is I've been telling you I've only been able to read certain books. Now, I've shown you my Christian books. I'm not going to pull those out again. But I have in our living room this old coffee table that was probably made in the 1950s that was in this house when we moved in this house 28 years ago. And this coffee table in the living room is by my rocking chair. And I have all these books on this coffee table that to be read, or that I want to read, or that I dream about reading. And I thought I'd show those in the video to show you the kind of my literary taste, the books that I like, the books that I would read, the books that I find interesting, that I think are profitable to read. And so I'm just going to show them. Now, some of these books I'm going to show, there are books that I was reading, and for some reason I can't get back into them. I might get back into them in June or July or August or September, who knows. But I have been able to read, like I've shown, The Bookshop of the World, Making and Trading Books in the Dutch Golden Age. This I will continue to read. I still can get into this. I don't have this blockage. It's written by Andrew Pettegree and author DeWitt. Now I'm able to read this, and I can still pick up this and read this, The Pleasures of the Imagination, English Culture in the 18th Century by John Brewer. I'm still able to read this. These I don't have kind of a blockage about. Now, there are some new books I have not read at all that I bought but not have gotten into at all. And these, I don't know when I'll get into them, but I don't want to take them down to the lower level. I don't want to put them into the library downstairs in the lower level. I bought this book, have not gotten into it. It's called The Club, Johnson, Boswell, and the Friends Who Shaped an Age by Leo Damrosch. I have not gotten into this, but I want to. I really want to get into this. I don't know when, but I haven't even started it. Another book that I have bought but have not got into is a novel this was a novel. She was a British writer who, I think it was first published in 1964. It's Berg by Anne Quinn. This is like a very early modernist British novel that I want to get into. I have not started it, but I don't want to take it down to the lower level. What else that I have bought but have not gotten into? I have bought this novel called The Revolutionaries, a novel by Joshua First. I have not even gotten into this. I want to read it. I've kept it up here. This is on my to be read pile for this summer. I do want to read this. What else here? I bought this biography on Nietzsche, I Am Dynamite, A Life of Nietzsche by Sue Pettegree. I not even started this. Now, when I got this, I was reading this book, Hiking with Nietzsche, On Becoming Who You Are by John Kaag. I got halfway through this little memoir, and then I bought this book on Nietzsche, and I've just gotten stuck, and I have not gotten in back. I have not even started the biography, and I have not finished this. But I don't want to take it down to the lower level. I bought this book called The Timothy Leary Project by Jennifer Ulrich, foreword by Zach Leary. I bought this, have not gotten into it. I got this because I was reading D.C. Boyle's new historical fiction called Outside Looking In on Timothy Leary, the early 60s psychedelic movement. And I got this to go with this. I have not gotten back into D.C. Boyle. I've gotten a blockage, but I have not. I really want to get into these, so I keep them up here. I was reading Brent Ellis essays, White. I'm almost finished with this, so I want to finish these essays by Brent Easton Ellis. And I was reading this novel, Faculty of a Dreams by Sarah Strangsberg. This is a very surrealistic, experimental historical novel on the woman who in 1968 she tried to assassinate Andy Warhol. Her name was Valerie Solanas, and this is like historical fiction on her. So I want to get back into this. And when I get into reading short stories, which I do, I want to get back into reading the collected stories of Macho Diaz, translated by Margaret Jewel Costa. I was reading several months ago this biography on abstract expressionist women painters in New York City called 9th Street Women. Lee Krishner, Elaine de Kooning, Grace Harlington, Joan Mitchell, and Helen Frankenthaler, 5 Painters in the Movement That Changed Modern Art by Mary Gabriel. I was really enjoying this. and I have not gotten back into it, but I want to sometime. So I keep it up here. I was reading for a while this kind of satire on America by Jarett, Kobek, Only Americans Burn in Hell. I'm almost finished with this. I need to get back into it, but I have this blockage, and hopefully the blockage will come down sometime. I was reading this novel, French Exit, by Patrick DeWitt. I'm almost finished with this too, and I just can't get back into it, but I want to. And I was reading Going Native by Stephen Wright. I'm almost finished with this. Like I said, I just can't. There's like this blockage, but I hope it comes down. And I was reading this Memoirs, Light Years by Chris Rush. I'm almost done with this too, but I haven't gotten back into it for a couple of weeks, but I plan to. The Light Years, a memoir by Chris Rush. And I was reading Nervous States, Democracy and Decline of Reason by William Davies. And I was reading The Marshall Plan, Dawn of the Cold War by Ben Steele. I was really enjoying these, and I really want to get into them when I want to read some really good nonfiction. And then I was reading this book I got a couple of weeks ago. This came out by the New York Review Books, My Friends Emmanuel by Emmanuel Bove, translated out of the French by Janet Luth. I'm almost finished with this. It's just a little slim thing. I could finish it in probably 1 hour. I just got this blockage. When it comes down, I'm going to finish it. And then I was reading with great enjoyment these two, the Memoirs of a Revolutionary by Victor Serge. This is translated out of the French by Patrick Sidgwick and George Perez. I was reading this. I was really enjoying it. And I was also reading Notebooks, 1936 to 1947 by Victor Serge, translated by Mitchell Abadar and Richard Greenman. So I was really reading this about 2 or 3, 4 weeks ago, and I was really into them, and I was really getting a lot of enjoyment out of it. But then I got this stuck. And then I bought this little book, Victor Serge. These are his occasional writings or early writings. He was anarchist, an anarchist never surrender, essays, polemics, and correspondence on anarchism, 1908 to 1938. So these things are all the things that are on my to-be-read pile, or things I want to read, or things that I want to get into, either in June, July, August, or even into the fall. I can't get myself to put them downstairs. I can't get into them. I just want to keep them up here because these are the things that really interest me as far as what I want to read. If I do get in the mood of reading, because I'm talking about, these are things I read in the afternoons, in the evenings, in the mornings. I read my Christian books, systematic theology, commentary on Romans, and biblical theology on circumcision, and I'm reading all kinds of books in the morning for my devotions. Plus, I read the Bible. You know, I gotta pray. I gotta meditate, contemplation. I write in my diary. I have 4 online diaries. I do videos for YouTube, and I have, I'm married, and I got kids and grandkids, and life just keeps speeding by. But these are the kinds of books that interest me, that I think are worth reading, that I want to read, that I haven't gotten DNF'd yet. They're on my to-be-read pile. It's like they're on my bedstand by my bed. If you read like the New York Book Review, they ask writers and people, what's on your bedstand? Well, these are the books that would be in my bedstand. Even though on my bedstand, I just have a book on Eastern Orthodox prayer and my Bible. And then I have a book on something about traveling, I can't remember the title of the book. So that's what's on my to-be-read pile. This is what I want to read in June, July, August, September, October, November, December. And maybe I won't get to any of these things. Maybe I'll just take them downstairs eventually. So now it's 8:47 at night here in West Michigan. It is May the 29th. It's a Wednesday night. Tomorrow's the Thursday. Carol does not get back, my wife, until next Monday at 3 o'clock in the afternoons. And I've done all the thrift stores. I visited everything. I have some CDs coming in the mail tomorrow, but no books this week. I have books coming in the month of June from Amazon that I've pre-ordered. But yeah. Friday, I volunteer at the Library Used Bookstore, the Book Nook. So that's it here in my book world, and thank you for the comments. Thank you for subscribing. I hope you're all having a good week. And until next time, bye.